Hey you guys! USDC momentarily dropped below 90 cents due to the bankruptcy of the Silicon Valley Bank, where Circle held some of its reserves. This caused the entire stablecoin industry to plummet and put the entire banking sector at risk. Many fear a repeat of 2008. So what happened to the USDC and DAI? Is there any chance of a rebound in the dollar peg? And what can we expect on Monday? Let's get to the bottom of this. It all started on Thursday when the SVB began selling their assets at a loss to strengthen their balance sheet. That triggered panic among the key venture capital firms, who reportedly advised companies to withdraw their money from the bank. As a result, the entire banking sector collapsed, and SVB stock plummeted more than 60% overnight. On Friday, California regulators closed down the tech lender and put it under the control of the U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. It is the second largest failure of a financial institution in U.S. history. Then rumors surfaced that Circle was holding $8 to $9 billion in undisclosed reserves at the bankrupt Silicon Valley Bank. Investors panicked and started selling USDC, while the rate sagged by 1/100%. The roughest part started when Circle officially announced that they had indeed stored $3.3 billion of their $40 billion, or 8% of their reserves, at SVB Bank. Then Coinbase temporarily shut down USDC to USD conversion, and Binance suspended USDC to BUSD 1-to-1 conversion. The major funds such as Genesis, Galaxy Digital, and Black Tower added oil to the fire and withdrew from the USDC positions en masse. The USDC plunge triggered a domino effect. The fourth largest stablecoin, DAI, held about 45% of its reserves in the USDC. A similar situation occurred with the Frax stablecoin. As a result, both supposedly stable coins dropped 10% in a couple of hours. Drama is added by the fact that the situation occurs on the weekend when banks are not working, which causes investors to panic and exit stablecoin for Bitcoin or Ethereum. In fact, the only normal stablecoin is USDT. Everything else depends on USDC and will go underwater with it if anything happens. The situation is developing very fast. At the moment, USDC is trading at 96 cents. It's possible that when the video comes out, stablecoin will return to the dollar, but it is important to understand what the chance is that this won't happen again, what the USDC storage risks are, and what to expect on Monday. Let's start with a positive scenario and look at the reasons why the USDC will return to the dollar as early as this week. First, Circle holds 77% of their reserves in 1 to 4 month T-bills. These T-bills are held at BNY Mellon and managed by BlackRock. This provides an absolute floor on USDC of 77 cents. The remaining 23% is held in cash at various institutions. Approximately 1/3 of this cash is held at SVB. SVB is going to liquidate all of its assets in the next couple of months, and most experts estimate that they will recover at least 10 to 50% of the total value of the assets. The FDC will pay out what they think is the recovery rate for the assets. 50% seems like a reasonable target given that much collateral is mortgage-backed securities and not junk bonds. In that case, 1 USDC would be covered by reserves at 93 to 96%, depending on the amount of compensation. Second, Circle reported that it is also possible that SVB may not return 100%. In such a case, Circle will stand behind USDC and cover any shortfall using corporate resources involving external capital if necessary. The USDC to USD 1-to-1 exchange rate will resume on Monday with the opening of the banks. This will create an incentive for arbitrageurs to make money on the difference between buying USDC at 96 cents and exchanging it for a real dollar, which in turn will help restore the USDC exchange rate. The third reason I think it's below fair value is that USDC are highly profitable, to the tune of generating a projected $2.2 billion per year, with US Treasuries at 4.6%. This means they're highly capitalized to make up for the shortfall this year. Furthermore, they have $500 million in cash equivalents outside of their reserves on their balance sheet. These guys are rich. They are well capitalized, highly liquid, and they run a multi-billion-dollar profitable business. Finally, Circle has a vested interest from big traditional backers, for whom it's profitable to stay in business. BlackRock manages the entirety of their $33 billion in their fund. On their cap table are investors from Fidelity, Marshall Wace, and Valor. So finding $3 billion to rebuild reserves is just a matter of desire. Also, don't forget that the Fed is holding an emergency closed session on Monday on fast-track procedures. Of course, they don't care about the fate of USDC holders, but one of the reasons SVB collapsed is because of the high rates in the economy. Perhaps Jerome Powell will decide to stop raising rates or run the money printing press altogether to save the economy. Then it would be positive for the whole market and crypto as well. Still, there is also a negative scenario, which has about a 10 to 15% chance of happening. Let's break it down further. On Monday, banks and the stock market will open. So far, it's hard to predict the size of the panic to expect in the market, but the panic is definitely going to happen, and the effect on the banking sector is unclear. Some are predicting a crisis like in 2008, and as a consequence, bankruptcy of other banks where Circle and Tether hold their reserves. Circle will open up the possibility of exchanging USDC into US dollars, and it is unclear if it will withstand the influx of investors. As Circle itself states, they have enough reserves for 77%, and they will have enough to withdraw from banks and deposit their money. As you can see, there is much less negative than positive preconditions. But this is crypto. Anything is possible here, so let's figure out what USDC holders and crypto investors should do. So, if you are a USDC or DAI holder, the first and easiest option is to do nothing and wait for the stablecoins to come back to $1. This whole USDC thing sounds more like panic and PTSD of investors after the collapse of Luna and FTX. Circle has the money and the ability to fund the hole in reserves. If you are afraid that the situation will not get better, then exchange USDC to Bitcoin. In that case, you will buy BTC at $21,400, which is not bad at all. Consider it not a loss, but just a bad Bitcoin buy at 5% of market price. If the USDC fully returns its peg to the dollar, Bitcoin will also respond with a 5% or more increase. You can also exchange USDC for USDT and lose 5%. Tether has been around since 2015 and to this day shows its reliability. Yes, it's far from transparent, but USDT is backed by whales and early Bitcoin followers who don't benefit from breaking it. For exotic lovers, I found an interesting option. Find your own stablecoin until the situation is resolved. To do that, buy spot Bitcoin and simultaneously open a short position on the exchange. That way, you get neutral value and don't depend on price fluctuations. This model was suggested by Arthur Hayes, former BitMEX CEO, but it's complicated, plus you have to pay for financing on the exchange. Overall, the collapse of USDC hit stablecoin hard. The market didn't go down simply because everyone was selling stables and buying coins. Going forward, the USDC will survive, but it will not restore confidence. Personally, I no longer want to keep money in USDC knowing that it could plummet again one day. Bitcoin and Ether are the basis for a portfolio. So mind the risks and don't trust anything stable. And that's all I have. Thanks for watching your Coin Post.